Hi, this is Maro, and this is our third video about complex numbers. We have done before an introduction to complex numbers and adding and subtracting complex numbers. Today we'll be multiplying complex numbers. Then we have another two videos. One of them will be dividing, and the last video will be how would complex numbers questions come in the SAT. Now, in this question here, we have what is each product? And I have 3i, which is a pure imaginary number, multiplied by -5 plus 2i. Now, unlike addition and subtraction, we are going to use distributive property. Now, when we used to solve addition and subtraction of complex numbers, we used to combine like terms. We would add the real part of the number together and the imaginary part together. In multiplication, it's not the same. You're going to be using distributive property. So I'm going to be first multiplying 3i by -5. Then I'm going to be multiplying 3i by 2i. So 3i times -5, just multiply the numbers. 3 times -5 is -15. And we have I here. Then I'm going to be multiplying 3i by 2i. 3 times 2 is +6. And we have I squared. Now remember that we said before that I squared is equal to -1, and this is why I is equal to square root of -1. So what we're going to be doing here is that we're going to be substituting for this I squared. So this is actually -15i plus 6 multiplied by -1. We just substituted for the I squared by -1. And your answer here is going to be -15i minus 6 instead of plus 6i squared. Now, this is not the standard form of writing the complex number. We always write the real part first, then the imaginary part. So our product for multiplying 3i by -5 plus 2i is -6 minus 15i. Now, let's look at our next question. We have here 4 plus 3i multiplied by -1 minus 2i. Now, we're going to be still using distributive property or FOIL. It's as if you're multiplying two binomials together. So you're going to be multiplying the 4 by -1, then the 4 by -2i. So 4 times -1 is -4, and 4 times -2i is -8i. Then we're going to be multiplying 3i by -1 and 3i by -2i. So 3i times -1 is -3i, then 3i times -2i is -6i squared. Now we can combine like terms. I have -4, -8i, and -3i together will make -11i, and -6 times I squared. Again, we're going to substitute for the I squared by -1. So it's going to be -4 minus 11i plus 6. Again, combine like terms. We have two real parts here, -4 and +6. So it's going to be 2 minus 11i, and this is the answer for your question. Last question. I have -6 plus I multiplied by -6 minus I. We call these conjugates. What do you mean by conjugates? It's as if you have two binomials, and both of them have the same terms. So here I have -6, and the second term is I in both cases. The only difference is one of them is joined by addition, and the other is joined by subtraction. We call these conjugates. When we multiply conjugates, what happens? Let's check it out. Again, we're going to be using the same method, multiplying the -6 by both of them. So -6 times -6 is +36. -6 times -i is +6i. Then we multiply the positive I by both terms. I multiplied by -6 is -6i, and the positive I multiplied by -i is -i squared. Combine like terms. -6i and a +6i will give you 0. So you will end up with 36 minus I squared. So we know that I squared is equal to -1, so you're going to substitute, and you'll find that your final answer is going to be 37. Now, why is this important? When you multiply conjugates and complex numbers to imaginary conjugates, what happens? Your answer is not an imaginary number anymore. Your answer actually is a real number. This is very important because we are going to be using it when we divide complex numbers or imaginary numbers. So we have seen together how we use distributive property to multiply complex numbers, how it's not the same like addition and subtraction, and we understood what's the meaning of conjugates, and that the answer of multiplying conjugates is not an imaginary number, it is a real number, and we're going to be using that in our next video when we discuss dividing the complex numbers. Now it's time for you to practice, try solving these questions, and write your solutions in the comment section, and I'll let you know if they are correct. I hope this has been helpful for you, and thank you so much for watching.